Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back. I have such a warm and cozy, wintry story for us to read together today, and it's all about these things. Do you guys have some of these at home? I bet if you live someplace that gets really, really cold, you definitely have some mittens. Yes. Mostly I wear gloves. I think most grown-ups usually wear gloves, but sometimes I like to wear my warm and cozy mittens to keep my whole hand warm at this time of year when it gets extra, extra cold. And that's what's happening in our story today. It's all about a mitten, and it's actually called The Mitten. Yes, that's the name of the book, or the title. This book is all about a little boy who wants to go play in the snow, and he asks his grandmother to knit him some mittens, but he wants the mittens to be white. And the grandma says, nope, I don't want to make you white mittens, because if I do, you are going to lose them in the snow, because the mittens will match the snow, and if you drop one, you will not be able to find it. And the little boy promises that he will not lose them. And so finally the grandmother relents, and she agrees to make him some white mittens. And so then the little boy goes out to play in the snow. And what do you think happens? Oh my goodness, one of his mittens falls off almost immediately, and he loses it in the snow. He already said that he wasn't going to do it, and that's exactly what happens. But then while he's off wandering, then someone finds his mitten. It's an animal, and then another animal, and then another one, and another one, and pretty soon there's all these animals with his mitten. Now, I'm not going to tell you what they do with the mitten. I'm not going to tell you what happens. I'm actually not going to tell you anything else about what's going to happen in our story. I'm just going to tell you that it's really a fun story, and that you are going to love it, and that it's so neat to see what happens in the end to the mitten. All right, let's see who made this book for us. Now, at the bottom, it tells me that this book was adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. And so it doesn't usually say that on the cover of the book. It doesn't usually say adapted. And so what that means is this is an old story. It's a really old story. And so the author and illustrator, Jan Brett, she changed some things up and made it more modern so that you and I would understand it. And so she kind of retold this story in this book, but the story of the mitten has been around for a really, really, really long time. And then she illustrated pictures to go with the story. She drew all of these pictures. And boys and girls, look at how talented she is. This picture is so beautiful that you could put it in a frame and hang it up on your wall, couldn't you? It is so well drawn. And so on each page, we're going to get to see a big picture that will be what's happening in the story on that page. But then if we look over to the sides, Jan Brett always adds some extra pictures over there on the sides, and it kind of gives us a hint about what's coming next. So make sure that you check out those pictures on the side and see if you can figure out what's going to happen next in our story, because that's so much fun. All right, this story is wonderful. It is all about a precious little boy and some animals and a mitten. We're going to have to find out what happens. Are you ready? Yes? Okay, let's read together now. Come on, join me. The Mitten. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as the snow. At first, his grandmother Baba did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in feet first. The mole didn't think there was enough room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered in prickles, they made room. Who do you think's going to come along next? As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left. But when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Who's going to be next? It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fat fox, trotting by, stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. Who's next? What? Is he going to fit? A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be. But what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged too many times its size. But Baba's good knitting held fast. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Ha! 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 Choo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nikki saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten, silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound. Then she saw that he still had his new mittens. But look at it, boys and girls. Look how stretched out it is compared to the one that all the animals did not crowd inside of. The end. What a wonderful story. Now, do you think that could really happen? I don't think so. But it was a wonderful snowy tale of a bunch of friendly animals trying to stay warm on a cold winter day. I hope this winter you will be bundled up and just as cozy as all the animals in our story, and that you will not lose your mittens like Nikki, because you probably won't be lucky enough to find them again. Have a great winter, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you love this book and want a copy of your very own, you can get one at the link below. If you had fun reading along with me, please like this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out all the other videos where I read books aloud just for you. I hope I'll see you guys soon and you'll come back and read with me again next time. Bye!